Welcome to Real Flix Reviews, or like a book club for people who hate reading. This week we're doing grab bags. So Ryan picked the movie Trading Places, made in 1983. We bring you movie news, and this week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and Ryan Preston. So I have the description of Trading Places. A snobbish investor and a wily street con artist find their positions reversed as part of a bet by two callous millionaires.
Yeah, that works.
It's pretty much the whole plot. I mean, honestly,
More or less. It's a really high concept kind of a thing. What if two rich guys, were able to switch a rich dude with the poor dude? There's not much to it, but
it's the age-old question.
You're right. Yeah. That age-old thing that
And this 1980 between like the mid 90s is like the butter zone for Dan Aykroyd. I'll watch any movie within this time period with Dan Aykroyd because it's kind of before he like went way off the deep end.
He just wanted to see Jamie Curtis.
He was still a nut because you got to remember the original script for Blues Brothers was something like 300 pages long. Yeah, it was some crazy thing that involved just really out there situations.
Yeah, I mean, he had to give his dealer a job too. Hey, James Belushi.
Yeah, for sure.
That was the one random part in this whole movie. All of a sudden, you see him partying in a gorilla suit.
It's just one of those that they kind of like threw it in there just for the fun.
I love that though. Nice monkey outfit. It's a fucking gorilla.
To me, this is one of a pair. You know what I mean? To me, this one comes directly before Coming to America, and Coming to America, I mean, is also sort of really loosely tied to it in as much as Mortimer and Randolph basically reprived their roles and in the end of Coming to America. But I mean, this is right at the beginning of sort of Eddie Murphy's like incredible movie stardom.
I was gonna say this is when Eddie Murphy was funny.
Yes, that's exactly my point as well.
Really funny, and wasn't doing things for his kids, which as noble as that is, we all like to see him, cuss and act like a complete insane maniac.
See, I don't think it was doing it for his kids. I think he was doing it for his alimony payment.
But probably. Now, like people that may only know Eddie Murphy as
Donkey.
The Donkey or
Norbert.
What the hell were all those movies that he did as the woman?
Isn't it Norbert? No, not Norbert.
In a Nutty Professor.
Yeah,
yes.
He did Nutty Professor and things
we did
like that.
8 characters.
Dr. Dolittle. Now this is when Eddie Murphy was at his prime, really.
Yeah, this is why, if you ever wondered why he was famous, it's because of shit like this.
And
if you watch the scene where the introduction to him when he's on the skateboard, rolling around, I mean, that is just hilarious, especially when he's with the cops. Like, oh man, thank you guys, that's awesome. I can walk, I can see, it's amazing. Thank you so much.
And see, the best thing about this movie is you can't do half the stuff they did in this movie. No. Like, my favorite part was Dan Aykroyd is like a Jamaican. Just so how random it is. It like all of a sudden he's in dreadlocks and you have
got black like shoe polish
like
all over
like shoe
face.
polish, and you have Jamie Lee Curtis is like Heidi.
Yeah, she wasn't Sweden. She was
Norwegian.
No, it was like Belgium or something like that.
I just half the stuff in this movie we're so politically correct now. You could never do.
Yeah, and the fact that they totally did the Negro thing on him.
What's that?
The Negro thing, where they're saying, we just have this Negro. You want a Negro in charge of our entire company? Things like that. You can't make jokes like that anymore.
No, especially coming from two old white guys.
Well, see, I mean, that's the thing is a complete farce as the whole movie is. It was still subversive in those ways. It still had, a lot of the sort of political voice behind it, like oh, wouldn't this be odd if the black dude became the rich guy kind of scenario, and Eddie Murphy definitely liked to play up on like look at the black dude be as rich as anybody else.
Yeah.
He was really good at playing up that stereotype. And
but you also saw the range that he's got, because he starts out completely off the wall, goofy beyond anything, and then after the party scene, or technically during the party scene, he went to straight Eddie Murphy. I'm a serious actor. I can pull this role off too. And I think he did pretty good with the transition in the middle of a film.
Oh yeah, and that was pretty much like that part B. I was going to say this movie pretty much has two parts. You know, primarily two parts. You know, is you have the part when the switch happens and when they join forces and pretty much bankrupt two old guys for $1.
Yeah.
One might even say it has 3 acts.
I'd say 2 acts. So what?
Wow. And the other thing I want to say is you got to see Dan Aykroyd playing a serious character, which I am not a fan of. Dan Aykroyd playing a completely straight, serious character.
I don't think this character is completely
straight. He had some goofy parts, but nothing like Ghostbusters.
No. On Ghostbusters, he was almost autistic.
What about Blues Brothers? You got to think about Blues Brothers too. I mean, and even he had some goofiness about him in Dragnet.
Yeah, but in Blues Brothers, he's playing off Jim Belushi, which makes him look, which really shines Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd by himself is not that funny, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, he's always sort of played the straight character more or less. I mean, but the straight man in like Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah.
Still goofy.
I think he plays. James John, close enough.
No, there's a big difference.
I think he plays off better with people. This is why I think like the second half of this movie, the part with Jamie Lee Curtis forward was better because he had somebody to play off with and a little bit of better character.
Yeah, I mean, when he totally went into the despair of his life, that's when he got really funny. Like when he's sitting on the bus.
Oh, the Santa costume
and the sandwich.
Or whatever the hell that was.
It's a sandwich, wasn't it?
No, it was a piece of meat. It was just a roasted cut. Anyways, and he starts eating it through the beard and then pulls out that really long string. I mean, that part was hilarious. And then the fact that he completely was off the wall, which isn't far of a stretch, Dan, just saying. But, he did it in such a way that you actually got some laughs out of it, or at least I did. Like when he dumps all the drugs in there. You even got some laughs
out of his suicide attempt.
Yeah, I laughed at the suicide attempt, but
that whole
when
scene.
He dumps all the drugs in there, and then he's like, "You got all this, and then you got red ones, blue ones, yellow one."
I love the suicide attempt right up to it. The dog pees on him. It starts raining, and then he tries to click, and then he throws it, and that whole scene is pretty good.
Well, see, I mean,
it should have hit the dog.
The amazing thing about this movie is scene to scene, it's the funniest thing in the world. It tracks perfectly from the beginning to the end for a comedy. It's got just enough of a story mixed in with comedy where you don't give a shit about the weird little plot things with the story. And again, I mean, sort of scene to scene, it's one of the funniest movies of all time.
Yeah. I think you have to give it up to was it Ralph Bentley and Don Ameche, the Mortimer and Rodolph Duke, because they played the ultimate like rich snobbish white guy who likes to like give $5 as a tip.
Half of that was for me.
Yes, I love that.
God damn, that movie's funny.
Those guys together, I mean, they should have done the last part of their career together because they were perfect.
Yeah, they blended pretty well.
They were like, what are the Muppet characters? The two old Muppet characters.
I know. I was just trying to think of that dude in the balcony.
Yeah, I can't think of their names either, but the grumpy old guys.
Yeah, those two like remind me of living versions of those Muppets.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were based on them or something. Or I mean, or in a roundabout way. Well, no, I mean that would have had to been a long time ago, probably when they were still younger. But yeah, I mean, it really does sort of epitomize those two characters. Just the banter between the pair of them and whatnot, going back and forth, the sarcasm, and I mean, just the opening scene of sort of everybody kind of living their lives. It's the same kind of thing you got in Coming to America. Where he just kind of introduces you to the life of these people, and Coming to America, "The royal penis is clean, Your Highness," is like the funniest line that's ever been uttered.
But I was just looking at the writers of this film, and I don't know what happened to them, but after they wrote this movie, their better two films that both of them together are known for is Kindergarten Cop and Space Jam.
Well, I've often said I'll defend Space Jam, but you gotta understand. I mean, they probably were there for story, whipping out like little plot ideas and stuff like that. But this is Eddie Murphy's vehicle for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is pretty much to give Eddie Murphy a hell of a shine because it
and
plays
there's
up on
nothing,
him.
there's no part of his dialogue that I wouldn't believe that he didn't just throw in there himself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was kind of, for a long time early in his career, he was very much like Robin Williams, where you'd sit him down and need like an hour of tape, and you come away with 3 days.
Yeah, you put him in a room with some props, and then you just kind of roll tape on him. You let him roll.
Except, and then you need a couple of like language coaches or a couple people to figure out what he's saying. Like in Robin Williams' stand-up career, one of his stand-up interviews said they finally had to find somebody who spoke Yiddish because of all the Yiddish jokes they were throwing.
Right.
Now, one of the things I was going to say is, this movie, as Ryan said, it's one joke after another, setting up and playing off of the previous scenes, the Vice, things like that. But, Ryan thinks it's the funniest movie, but for me, it doesn't really stand out. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm more of a slapstick kind of guy, and this really wasn't slapstick. This was dialogue jokes and scenario jokes. Do you guys agree with that?
No, not like
slapstick. And
I agree with you in as much. I mean, it definitely did have its moments of physical comedy. But I don't lean towards the slapstick. I definitely probably lean a little more towards this type of just kind of subversive and the big setup punchlines. Even all the plot devices were just setting up punchlines later on.
That's what I'm saying. It's a
enough,
situational comedy. This is what this film is really more.
Oddly enough, for me, this movie is, even as a kid, felt more like a drama a light drama with comedy elements versus a comedy with.
You mean like Arthur?
Yeah, Arthur was that for sure. I don't know if I can say that about this movie.
I don't know. That's kind of because
that's kind of where I'm taking it.
Because even as a kid, I never really laughed at a good portion of this movie. I mean, it was funny, but it wasn't
a kid kind of a. I mean, you almost have to be an adult just to really kind of understand half of the references that Eddie Murphy's making. I mean, this is one of those movies I like more and more as time goes on.
I don't know if it's good or bad, but I've understood most of the references as a kid, so I'm not sure if that's a good thing.
What's interesting to me about it is how well this damn movie holds up, even though it's dripping with the 80s.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it reeks of the 80s. I mean, you could almost pick out the month when this thing was made, but it's regardless. I mean, you see a lot of things from the 80s. Watch Warriors today.
Oh yeah. I think one of the reasons
it 10 years ago that was enough.
I think one of the reasons this movie,
a second time.
I think one of the reasons this movie stands out so well is because it's kind of an age-old story. I mean, that type of story, it's especially in today's climate, it just works really well. They could probably redo this movie.
What do you mean, the 1%ers against the 99?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a disparity between the ultra crazy inherited wealth and then the rest of us.
I mean, that's
abject poverty.
I mean, because even in somewhat, the Pink Panther was making fun of that a little bit too. So that really is an age-old comedy gag. It's a perfect foil.
But
doing that.
The one thing I gotta appreciate about this film is they didn't do the I'm so rich stuff very much. They only did it twice that I can think of.
Well, Dan Aykroyd in the beginning of this movie kind of really played that up.
See, that's to me that was where his comedy was coming from. Is this like really super exaggerated, like life handed to you on a silver platter sort of attitude.
Like your credit card's getting canceled.
Yeah, like
spoon in your mouth.
Like the millionaire from Gilligan's Island, but worse.
Well, he's like Richie Rich as an adult.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so that was kind of something that I was happy they didn't do. But I don't know. I enjoyed the film. It's gosh, I can't remember the last time I saw it. Oh,
I know, right?
In the 80s or 90s. But yeah, I've seen it a few times. But
I've seen this movie a lot. It used to be on television almost nonstop.
Well, but that's the television edit.
Well, yes, but I mean,
So you're missing some jokes in it.
not a lot though. If not,
Well,
But-
yeah, I guess they were better at integrating jokes than what they do now.
Well, a lot of it back then was veiled behind actual comedy and intelligent writing versus just telling fart and shit jokes.
That's a good damn point. I mean, and that might be one of the reasons this movie sort of holds up
Yes,
is sort of dumb as an idea. I mean, not dumb an idea, but as simple as an idea for a movie, it still has its really intelligent moments, even if just like the turns they take on the jokes, you know.
Because some of
Yeah,
these
I
jokes are subtle. I mean, some of them literally walk up to you,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
this
for sure.
definitely isn't one of the Nerds films after Revenge of the Nerds, the ones after that followed that really went into the potty jokes and the cursing for cursing's sake. And then you have the police academies, which after about the third one, they started really getting into the potty.
But that was
perverse
pure
jokes. But
slapstick, though. I mean,
that's
that
really
was
what came out of it, though.
Oh.
And then a lot of the Rodney Dangerfields, besides Caddyshack, even though Caddyshack had some of that too. This film is on the other end of the spectrum, where it's more dedicated to the comedy crowd that was not into that.
I would say this is like intelligent comedy of the '80s, like to some degree. I mean, there is some slapstick, there is some lowbrow humor, but I think a lot of this movie is on some level a little bit more intelligent because some of this you legitimately have to think about.
Yeah, but I would
What do you
agree
think,
that
Ryan?
Ryan and I are pretty much kind of agree on most comedies, but that's because we are more into the vaudeville, the smart jokes, the things like that, along with a little bit of slapstick humor here and there.
See, we're Marx Brothers
Yes.
fans.
So
Yeah,
do you
we're
think,
not Three Stooges. I mean, there's not a lot wrong with the Three Stooges.
Yeah,
They do what they do.
I have nothing against them, nothing but respect for the Three Stooges. But yeah, stuff like Marx Brothers, that was way more my speed. Of just they were always the smartest guys in the room. You know?
Yeah.
So I mean,
Like Bugs Bunny.
so what do you think though? I mean, do you think this is intelligent comedy? I mean, for the '80s.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
And I mean, that's what Eddie Murphy was really good at. He was a really, really, really smart dude, but still had the most incredibly awesome attitude. You know what I mean? And at a time when there wasn't a whole lot of crossover between sort of black movies and white movies. You know what I mean? You
Totally.
sort of had one or the other. It's like blaxploitation center of like the late '70s into the '80s. But very, everybody kind of have that glimpse of both worlds. And Eddie Murphy, once he got on Saturday Night Live, really bridged that gap between, like your average, just middle class, white dude, and then like the urban communities.
So what rating do you give this movie?
Oh man, this is a still 4, and like I said, I mean that's with the dripping of the '80s and all of this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James?
Yeah. Well, despite everything I just kind of pointed out, things that I don't like, but I agree with Ryan. This is at least a strong 4 for me. It doesn't rate that high for me on the comedy list. There's a lot of ones that come before it, but it is a good solid 4 for what it is.
Yeah, see, maybe it's because I've seen this movie probably more than necessary. This movie's a 3 out of 5.
That's
See,
fine.
come on, I think I can bring that up, man. I mean, how many times do you watch comedies? You know what I mean? Like over and over again.
Well,
That's got to say something right there that you've seen this comedy that many times.
But I also have to admit,
because he's bored and he has nothing else to do.
I also have to say I'm not the standard comedy fan because I generally don't like comedies. I actually like this one, mainly because it is intelligent and it's not like The Hangover 16,
Yeah, for sure.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah, Muffy's Revenge. So I do like this. To me, 3 out of 5 for a comedy is a
Pretty high for
glowing
you.
review.
I
Honestly.
didn't think you'd rate it that high, actually.
So next we're going to go to the TV show we watch, which is Into the Badlands.
Yes.
And
Do you have that one up? In front
I
of you?
don't.
No.
Do you
Okay.
do you want to give the synopsis of it?
No, I don't really think we need to. This is kind of,
Because I was going to say I'll go first if you want.
actually, let's read the synopsis because I don't want to compare it to other things.
Well, yeah,
hold
because
on.
I was going to say this is kind of post-apocalyptic. In the beginning of this series, they kind of give you a very short thing, talk about there's no guns, like barons control the land. And it's kind of like medieval, as far as there's like fiefdoms and.
Well, I would say that this one is kind of like what they try to do with the lore of Japan during the Edo period, where you have shoguns, which they replace with barons in charge of certain districts, and they have their warrior class right below them. Their samurai, which
but that was the same thing. Feudalism versus
Flix,
same thing,
something like that. They call the big bad guys these certain things.
Clippers, or
clippers. I think they do. Now, I'm gonna let John go first. I do have quite a bit of notes on this one, and I want to see what John has to say since Ryan didn't watch it.
I actually
but it aired last night, so he didn't have much time.
This is this was the first episode of it, and as we've said during this, is it has to suck you in. This had me from the beginning. I mean, I've always been a sucker for anything post-apocalyptic for some reason.
Whoa. Can you say that again?
The pilot has to suck you in.
No. That whole thing about that there was something beginning. I missed it. What?
And from the beginning, it really sucked me in.
Wait, I missed that. Can you?
No, I'm not saying.
I think there was something in my ear.
Well, the problem is,
Did you just say that a TV show sucked you in the first few minutes?
Yeah, the problem is, so did the Bastard Executioner, and look what happened at the end of that first episode. So it's not necessarily glowing, because I guarantee by the second episode I'm gonna hate it.
So I guess John was preparing for Stockton Boulevard. Now, what I want to point out,
there's a reference nobody gotta get.
That's exactly the point. Now, for me, I was not impressed by the first 10 minutes of this episode. Now, I do like post-apocalyptic things, but just the way that they portrayed it, they just kind of threw you in a 10-on-1 fight scene. Now, that's okay. Now, my issue is that
they were totally trying to build up that character.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Yen Wu-ping. For some of you that may not know, he did a lot of the fantastic, groundbreaking fight scenes that you are seeing now, the fruit of it now. He did the original Drunken Master. Some of his really big claim to fame is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and he's got a lot of repertoire as far as that goes. Now, my thing is that this has quite a bit of potential. The thing that I find interesting is that the kid goes into Avatar mode when he bleeds. If you don't know what Avatar mode is, shut up and go watch Avatar: The Last Airbender.
See, the problem I actually see happening with this movie is, this TV show, is it's gonna suck because of that. Oh, there's something special with me, and obviously that the Asian dude's gonna run away with a kid, or something's gonna happen, and it's.
But I don't see longevity out of this. Do you see longevity out of this show?
This will last. I bet this will last like 2 seasons, maybe 3. If it survives.
Now, what I was bringing up is there's a scene in this film where they have kind of like the standoff between this Clipper and the Clipper of another Baroness, which is what she'd be called, people. Now, that scene, why I brought up Yen Wu-ping is because I think we as a group of people our age group, have been spoiled by fantastic fight choreography, and that whole scene was not very well done. Fight choreography. There was a lot of mistakes in that one, and it was very sloppy. And I'm totally nitpicking it, but I think as a fan of fight sequences, and this pretty much trying to pull off the action fight scenes as the backbone of their show, need to do better.
The only parts of that fight scene I really liked was the scenes involving the car.
Yeah, that was pretty well done.
To me, that was pretty well done. Like with it, stabbing the guy that went through the car door, dripping on the lady's glove. That was really well layered. I liked that.
Yeah. Now that being said, my big issues: very poor acting on the Baron. The guy who played the Baron overplayed in the first sequence when you get introduced to him.
Oh yeah, he
way overplayed it.
But I was actually kind of surprised.
Poor acting on the kid.
I'm surprised that they went for the southern.
Gentleman, slow.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much like Colonel Sanders right off the freaking bat. It's like, I'm surprised he didn't say, "Would you like some fried chicken?" Or would you like a hot apple pie with that?
Now, this show has sucked me into keep up going with it, but it at least gets 2 or 3 episodes out of me. I mean, I want to see it progress. I want them to give you more bait on the hook, but you know, I think I might have gone with really high hopes, and I've been seriously let down so far. But I'm gonna watch at least a couple more episodes.
Ryan, what do you think?
He hasn't seen it.
Well,
I mean, by the
couple
description
thoughts.
of it.
I
James,
wasn't
chill out.
aware. I kind of assumed it might be some sort of a post-apocalyptic thing. When it comes down to post-apocalyptic stuff, I don't mind them jumping right into something like that, because everybody has to assume that we've all sort of been made well aware of sort of the initial protocols of a wasteland type of a show or a movie. That being said, did I hear you say something there might be some kind of mystical one thing or another happening
Yeah,
here?
what happened when this kid sees his blood? He turns all avatar-y, and then...
Did you watch Avatar: The Last Bender?
No.
Well, okay. Well, what I mean by
By the way,
turning,
that's a great description, by the way.
right? Isn't that what it seemed like?
Yeah.
Now that I point out. It's pretty much, from what we can tell, is there had to be some type of genetic manipulation that when he sees his blood, it turns him into a rage monster.
Okay.
And beats the crap out of anybody with way advanced moves. Lucy-esque. Did you see Lucy?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
we
that's
did it
pretty
as a
much what he
show.
does.
Okay. Well, I mean, as long as they don't take that thing kind of too far. I mean,
Exactly.
No, I guarantee it has the feeling of it already, that it's gonna be all about this dude's, you know.
The trap that I see a lot of these things fall into is nobody just wants to make like a post-apocalyptic movie or an alien movie. It has to be, here's the post-apocalypse and then there's aliens. You know, I mean, it's always, they're adding these more and more different elements that used to just be interesting on their own. You know what I mean? It was an alien movie, or it was you know, a post-apocalyptic thing, or you know, whatever.
Yeah.
No, that's the problem, and I don't understand why they have to layer it that way. And I really do think the show's going to end up being its own worst enemy, because it's already on the verge of a Sci-Fi Channel movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. After watching, I'm like, this isn't sci-fi. This is AMC. You guys have a lot of really great shows that you had come out.
And the quality of it, like you look at The Walking Dead and some of the other shows, the quality, the cinematography look amazing.
Yeah.
This literally looked like a Sci-Fi Channel movie. It was that.
Yes, that's the other thing is I don't know if it's just the pilot that does that kind of stuff, and they need to see if anybody's going to be watching before they throw a shit ton of money into it, or the necessary amount of money for the vision. But yeah, it's interesting.
Because if they
anyway, gentlemen, I'm going to have to leave you here. I got to call the boss back.
Okay.
All right,
Ryan, later.
Bye. I was going to say, if this movie had any more bad CGI, George Lucas and Peter Jackson are going to sue him for copyright infringement.
Michael Bay will jump on board.
Go ahead. I got some movie news if you want to.
Yeah.
I'd definitely say continue watching this, because it is.
At least got me for 1 or more episodes.
Yeah, I want to see it for 2, maybe 3 more. I just don't see it lasting more than, if it lasts 3 seasons, I'll be honest, I'll be extremely surprised. It doesn't have that feeling to me.
Well, they gave too much finality in it. Like, you know, him coming across the little city in his pocket watch and the necklace, and there's too much finality. Like, you have a point, and you have a point. You have an ending point that's what they're seeking, you know?
Oh, no, totally. The only bit of movie news I really have is I saw this today, and I was kind of wondering why. I don't know any more than just the headline, but the headline itself kind of shocked me. Christopher Nolan's Memento to get a remake. By the way, this movie's 10 years old, 15 at the most.
What are they going to... What?
How are they going to change it?
How are they going to keep it going?
I see. I don't know how you do it at all, because it's Memento. It's a one-shot deal. I mean, the only reason why, one of the reasons why this, I think the movie made it so big is because it was kind of a mind screw.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you do it without copying it 100%.
Actually, oh wow, spot on. 15 years old.
Yeah. So that I read that, and it was like, I understand wanting to remake a movie, but that movie to me really surprised me.
Yeah, that's a weird one to pick. I don't know. I don't think I would choose that one over all the other things.
And also, you've got Guy freaking Pearce. He's the perfect actor for that movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you could pick any other person who was any better.
Have they leaked who's going to be reprising the role?
I haven't looked too much into it. It was something on the way over tonight.
Huh.
And I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand redoing other movies, but this movie to me is kind of like a movie you shouldn't touch. Not for at least, I don't know, 5, 10 more years.
Yeah.
Let's see, what was it? Oh, yeah, to say next week's our theater pick, and we're going to do the James Bond movie Spectre.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, there's really nothing's really coming out till December, really.
Yeah, pretty much. And there are some movies out that I want to see, but
very few movies ever get released during November.
Oh yeah.
It's just that there's too many people saving their money for Christmas, and sometimes they want that special treat for Christmas.
Yeah, no, exactly.
A movie that is coming out, and that's pretty much where I think Hollywood took it.
And so, what do we want to do for the TV show?
That is a good question. I do have a couple ideas. Hold on, I gotta pull it up. I forgot. I was gonna put that on Ryan, and
since for some reason Ryan decided to go fast.
Hold on. I think I actually do have one.
Well, you know what we'll do on the TV show? We'll put a mention on the Facebook page. What we're gonna do. We're a little unprepared tonight for some reason, which isn't normally how it goes.
Hold on. You just keep blabbering. Hold on. I think I have one.
What? Blabbering?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Virunga is the one that I think we should check out. I won't go into the details, but Virunga is one of the ones I have in here.
Okay, that works for me. So I gave the movie Trading Places.
No, sorry, that's a movie. Sorry. Oops. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll let you know. People. It'll be on the Facebook page.
That's totally my bad.
For at least for a while, hopefully we'll be doing the shows on Mondays because it's kind of changed because of the way our schedules work. I gave the movie Trading Places a 3 to 5. James gave it a 4 to 5. Ryan gave it a 4 to 5. Next week's TV show is to be announced.
TBA.
And the movie we're doing is James Bond Spectre.
Well, Facebook page.
And as always, we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Thank you.